I'm continuing in my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I'm reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. However, right now I am still in the book of 1 Samuel. And this is chapter 16. It's a little long, but we should be able to get through it in one video. So here we go. The Lord chooses David of Bethlehem as king. He is anointed by Samuel. Saul chooses David as his companion and armor-bearer. Now, I will note before I read any further that in this chapter we will have a few Joseph Smith translations. And what the Joseph Smith translation is, this is an inspired translation or correction of the scriptures of the Bible made by Joseph Smith to restore or correct those passages that had been lost over the years. So there will be a few of these in this chapter. Let us read. And the Lord said unto Samuel, How long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thine horn with oil, and go. I will send thee to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. And Samuel said, How can I go? If Saul hear it, he will kill me. And the Lord said, Take an heifer with thee, and say, I am come to sacrifice to the Lord. And call Jesse to the sacrifice. I will shew thee what thou shalt do, and thou shalt anoint unto me him whom I name unto thee. And Samuel did that which the Lord spake, and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming, and said, Comest thou peaceably? And he said, Peaceably. I am come to sacrifice unto the Lord. Sanctify yourselves, and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons, and called them to the sacrifice. So, now, as I said in my previous video, Samuel obviously loved Saul. And it just broke his heart when Saul was rejected by God. God saying, no, don't. Remember, when Aaron's two sons burnt strange fire and God killed them, he told Aaron and his other two sons not to mourn for them, at least not publicly. Do not give a show of mourning. And I think it's the same thing here. He's telling Samuel, don't be mourning for him. You are my prophet. You are my leader. You are my spokesman on the earth. I have rejected him. You have to reject him, at least publicly. So now he's going kind of covertly to Bethlehem, saying, I'm just here to make sacrifice, but he's really there to anoint a new king. So, let us continue, verse 6. And it came to pass, when they were come, that he looked on Eliab, and said, Surely the Lord's anointed is before him. But the Lord said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as a man seeth. For man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. Then Jesse called Abinadab, and made him stand before Samuel, and he said, Neither hath the Lord chosen him. Then Jesse made Shammah to pass by, and he said, Neither hath the Lord chosen this. Again Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel. And Samuel said unto Jesse, The Lord hath not chosen these. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Are here all thy children? And he said, There remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance, and goodly to look to. And the Lord said, Arise, anoint him, for this is he. Then Samuel took the horn of the oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. So this is when he comes in. He didn't tell anybody why he's here, and I'm sorry for the echo in this room. I just noticed it. But not much I can do about that. So he hasn't told anybody what he's here for. And Jesse brings in his eldest son, Eliab. And God says, nope, not him. So Samuel says, got any more sons? And one by one, he brings in all seven, or his seven eldest sons. He has 8 sons. And one by one, God says, nope, they're not him. Up to this point, it doesn't seem like Samuel told Jesse. Well, he might have told Jesse what he was. He didn't tell the town. He told the town that they were just doing the sacrifice. And now that they're here, they're having the feast. It's just him and Jesse, and he's telling Jesse to bring his sons. Maybe he's told Jesse, but not the rest of Bethlehem, and he told the rest of Bethlehem to kind of keep it quiet for now. That seems like more likely what it is from the way it's worded. Because it seems that Jesse is bringing in his sons and saying, this is the one that God will choose. And God says to tell Samuel, no, not him. And so Jesse goes and gets another one. So, well, this is the one God's going to choose. No, not him. Move along. So it seems like he did tell Jesse. He might not have, but it seems like he did. And that's why there's nobody seems surprised when he stands up and anoints David with the oil. So Jesse and his family knew, but nobody else knew. That's what I think was going on here. So anyways, let us continue. Verse 14 says, but the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. Now, this is an interesting one. First of all, I've got my what's supposed to be the complete Joseph Smith translation here, which is what I usually use. But this only has translations for verses 16 and 23, not for verse 14. But in the footnotes here, there is one for verse 14. It's a little discrepancy here. But basically, there are 4 verses that have a Joseph Smith translation, and they all are the same thing. We're going to do it here. It says, but the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. That should say, and an evil spirit which was not of the Lord troubled him. God doesn't give people evil spirits, but he had an evil spirit trouble him. Verse 15, and Saul's servant said unto him, behold, now an evil spirit from God troubleth thee. Again, Joseph Smith's translation, an evil spirit which is not of God troubleth thee. Verse 16, let our Lord now command thy servants which are before thee to seek out a man who is a cunning player on a harp. And it shall come to pass, when the evil spirit from God is upon thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well. Again, not evil spirit from God, but Joseph Smith changes that, evil spirit which is not of God. Continuing on, verse 17. And Saul said unto his servants, provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. Then answered one of the servants and said, behold, I have seen a son of Jesse, the Bethlehemite, that is cunning in playing, and a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent in matters, and a comely person, and the Lord is with him. Wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse, and said, send me David thy son, which is with the sheep. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread, and a bottle of wine, and a kid, and sent them by David his son unto Saul. And David came to Saul, and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor-bearer. And Saul sent to Jesse, saying, let David, I pray thee, stand before me, for he hath found favor in my sight. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from God was upon Saul, that David took an harp, and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed, and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. Once again, this last verse, verse 23, that should say, evil spirit which was not of God. So we got to clarify that God did not send this evil spirit to torment Saul. Now, the way this is described, this sounds like Saul had a mental breakdown. He was possibly schizophrenic. That's what it kind of seems to me, is that he's being tormented by this spirit. Is it a devil whispering in his ear? Some people will interpret it that way. But it just seems to me that he is more like, I'll say my grandmother was kind of a schizophrenic. She was never officially diagnosed as far as I understand, but she had her mood swings, you might say. And, you would never know if she was going to kiss you goodnight or slap you in the head. She got mad one day that the lights out at 10. There was a couple lights on in the house at 10 o'clock, so she took a broomstick and smashed all the light bulbs in the house. You could say she had an evil spirit on her, but it was not a devil. It was a mental imbalance in her mind. And I think that is what is happening with Saul. God rejected Saul, and I think something in Saul snapped at that point. I honestly don't know. I don't. This is just my theory, my suppositions. I could be wrong. But if that is true, then in a lot of ways, what comes later is not completely held against him, or might not be completely held against him. Although he is guilty of murder, so I don't know exactly what Saul's fate is, but I think this is an indication of actual mental disorder in the Bible, not just the possession of an evil spirit. And we'll talk about it a little bit later because of the way he acts. And one thing is, the playing of the harp calms him down, which is actually the music, certain types of music, or like with my grandma's, my dad could calm her down with a look. She'd get all into a frenzy, start swinging, and he'd just grab the broom that she was holding and look at her, and she'd look into his eyes, and instantly she's calm, she puts the broom down, and everything goes back to normal. So it is indicative of actual mental collapse here of what we're seeing in Saul. I don't know how much that will mitigate his actions, how much he will be judged for it, but I think that we can at least have a little sympathy for him because of this. I will also say I don't know how much Saul actually knew David himself. I think to Saul, he was just the one playing the harp. Anyways, I'm going to leave that here, and we'll pick this up in the next chapter.